The dusty desert road stretched out for miles, cracked and dry beneath the scorching sun. A lone truck rumbled down the path, its engine humming with a steady beat. The truck's driver, a tall man dressed in dark clothes, his face hidden behind sunglasses and a wide-brimmed hat, looked as though he had been traveling for hours. His name was Vin Diesel, but on this planet, he was just another truck driver passing through. The truck rolled into a small, barely functioning fuel station in the middle of nowhere. The place was quiet, too quiet. Only a few scattered cars and trucks were parked around, their engines still. The station was old, its signs weathered by time and neglect. It looked as if it hadn't seen much business in years. Vine stepped out of the truck and looked around, adjusting the strap on his shoulder. He was on a secret mission for the Galactic Transport Union, a powerful organization overseeing the safety of intergalactic travel. His job was to assess the roads after the recent attacks on travelers across the galaxy. The Union had to know whether the routes were safe for human cargo. And this stop? It was one of the most dangerous stretches in the sector. That's why he was here, undercover, just another trucker in a place no one cared about. Inside the small diner at the station, the place smelled of stale coffee and grease. The few customers there barely looked up from their meals, lost in their own worlds. But as Vine stepped through the door, his eyes landed on a lone figure in the corner of the room. It was a young black girl, no older than 12, sitting by herself at a booth. She looked out of place. Her clothes were torn and covered in dust, and there were bruises on her arms and face. Her eyes were distant, like she was trapped inside her own thoughts. Yet she seemed too alert, too aware of everything happening around her. Vin's heart skipped a beat. She looked scared, nervous even. She was alone. No one seemed to notice her, and yet, there was something about her that pulled at Vin's attention. Maybe it was the way she clenched her fists, or the silent way she observed the world around her as if she were constantly expecting danger. Vine made his way to the counter, nodding to the tired-looking waitress. She didn't seem interested in him. Her gaze barely lifted as she poured coffee for a man sitting at the counter. He ordered a simple sandwich and took a seat at the booth closest to the girl. He tried to make himself as small as possible, not wanting to draw attention. The diner was still. The only sounds were the faint clinks of cutlery and the soft hum of the air conditioning. Vin's mind kept returning to the girl. What was her story? He glanced over at her again. She didn't seem to notice. Her eyes were fixed on something far away, as though she was looking at something that wasn't there. She didn't move, didn't speak to anyone. After a few minutes, the waitress brought his sandwich, and Vin hesitated for a moment. He wasn't sure what made him do it, but he reached into his bag and pulled out the extra sandwich he had brought along for himself. He slid it across the table toward her. "Hey," Vin said softly, "you look like you could use something to eat." The girl glanced up at him, her expression unreadable. She didn't smile. She didn't say thank you. She just stared at the sandwich for a long time, almost as if she was studying it. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence stretched between them. Then, with a small, almost imperceptible sigh, she picked up the sandwich and took a small bite. Vin watched her, feeling a pang of something he couldn't quite place. She wasn't like any kid he'd ever seen before. Most children would have smiled, said thank you, maybe even struck up a conversation. But this girl, she was too quiet, too guarded. There was a weight on her that shouldn't belong to someone her age. As she finished chewing, her eyes flicked up to meet his. For a brief second, their gazes locked, and Vine felt his heart skip a beat. There was something in her eyes, something dark and heavy, that made him uneasy. Then she whispered, almost too quietly for him to hear, "They're coming for me tonight." Vin's eyebrows furrowed in confusion. He wasn't sure if he had heard her right. She continued, her voice low but sharp. "They think I'm just a kid, but they're wrong." Vin's heart thudded in his chest, and for a moment, time seemed to slow down. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up. Who was she talking about? Who was coming for her? The girl's eyes never left his. There was no fear in them, only a strange calmness, as though she had already accepted whatever was going to happen. "Who's coming for you?" Vin asked, his voice a little rough. Vin Diesel stepped outside the diner, his eyes scanning the dusty parking lot. The two strange men who entered earlier were now standing near a black hover car, pretending to refuel, but their eyes kept darting toward the diner windows. Something wasn't right. Vin had worked too many covert missions for the Galactic Transport Union not to notice a tail. These men weren't travelers. They were trackers. Bounty hunters maybe, or worse, private agents from one of the outlaw corporations that kidnapped children for illegal programs. He glanced around, looking for the girl, but she had vanished. Vin walked slowly toward the back of the diner, pretending to light a cigar. He kept his ears open and his body relaxed. Around the corner, he heard a soft voice. "I know you followed me." It was her. The young black girl stepped out from behind a dumpster. Her face was still bruised, but now she was holding a small device in her hand. It glowed faintly blue, an old distress signal unit, but one modified with advanced tech. Vine didn't speak. He waited. She looked up at him. "You're not really a truck driver, are you?" Vin gave a small smile. "And you're not just a lost kid." The girl nodded, clutching the device tightly. "My name's Kayla. They're chasing me because I found something. Something bad. And if they get me, they'll erase everything." Vin's expression turned serious. "What did you find?" Kayla looked around nervously. "A file. Hidden in a cargo crate. It says they're planning something. Big. Hundreds of kids. Taken from small planets like this one. They say it's for testing. But I saw what they do." Her voice cracked. "They turn us into machines. Cyborg soldiers. They think we don't matter because no one's watching." Vine felt a chill go down his spine. He'd heard rumors, whispers on deep space channels. But now he had a witness, a living, breathing survivor, a child. "Who are they, Kayla?" he asked, voice low. She hesitated, then whispered, "Unitrax Corporation." Vine cursed under his breath. Unitrax was banned from operating in human space, but like many outlaw tech firms, they hid behind fake names and bribed border agents. The two men from earlier were now walking toward the diner's back door. "We need to go," Kayla said urgently. "Now." Vine nodded and signaled her to follow. They moved fast but quiet, slipping behind his truck. Vine unlocked the side door and helped Kayla climb in. Inside was a hidden control panel. Beneath the disguise, this was no ordinary truck. It was a Union-grade mobile command unit. Kayla's eyes widened as the walls lit up with screens and scanners. "Your Union?" Vine nodded. "Vin Diesel. Captain. Special Protection Division. And from now on, you're under my care." Kayla looked like she might cry, but she held it in. Just then, an alarm blared. The tracker system showed the two men pulling weapons and heading toward the truck. "They found us," Kayla said. Vin jumped into the driver's seat. "Then let's make sure they don't catch us." With a roar, the truck blasted forward, kicking up a storm of desert dust. Kayla held on as the vehicle sped off the fuel station lot and back onto the open road. Behind them, the black hover car followed, engine screaming. Inside the truck, Kayla pulled up the file on her device. "I downloaded only part of it. Names, locations. Some are on Earth. They're spreading." Vin's grip tightened on the wheel. "Then we'll expose them all. But first, we need to get you to a safe house." Kayla looked up at him. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." Vin glanced at her through the mirror. "Because I do know you," he said. "You're just like my little sister was, smart, brave, and left behind by people who should have protected her." Kayla didn't speak, but for the first time she looked less alone. As the desert sun began to set, their truck roared through the night, two unlikely allies on the run from a hidden enemy. And behind them, something darker was moving. The night air was sharp, and the stars above looked like tiny holes in a dark blanket. Vin Diesel's truck raced across the wasteland highway, tires screaming over cracked metal roads. Behind him, the black hover car was still chasing, red lights flashing like hungry eyes. Inside the truck, Kayla sat beside him, holding tightly to her old device. Her fingers trembled, but her eyes were focused. She wasn't just scared, she was ready. Van pushed a button on the dashboard, revealing a hidden screen showing their pursuers. "They're gaining," Kayla whispered. I know, Vin replied. But they're not the only ones with tech. With a quick flick of his wrist, he activated a defense mode. Small panels on the truck's back opened, and out flew 2 drone decoys. They lit up the night sky and shot off in opposite directions. The hovercar slowed for a moment, confused. Nice, Kayla said with a small smile. But then, the hovercar locked back onto their signal. It wasn't fooled for long. Ven cursed under his breath. They've upgraded. That means their Unitrack's elite. Kayla looked up. Then we need to go where they can't follow. Vin raised an eyebrow. And where's that? She pointed at a glowing spot on the map ahead. Old Zone 9. The dead grid. Vine blinked. That place is off limits. It's full of broken satellites, ruined bots, and mines. Kayla looked him in the eye. Exactly. They won't risk it. But I know a way through. Vin hesitated. He didn't like it, but they were out of options. Hold on, he said. The truck took a sharp turn, kicking up dirt and metal shards as it headed straight toward the dead grid. As they entered, the world around them changed. Broken towers stood like skeletons. Old machines twitched and sparked in the sand. Ghost signals floated through the air. Every few meters, an old mine or trap blinked, waiting for movement. Kayla guided him carefully, her eyes locked on the map. Left here, then under the pipe. Don't touch the green lights. They're still active. Vine followed her instructions, amazed. How do you know all this? I grew up here, she said softly, before they took my family. Ven didn't say anything. He just kept driving. Behind them, the hovercar stopped at the edge of the dead grid. The 2 men inside looked frustrated. One of them threw a device to the floor, yelling. They won't follow us now, Kayla said. But we can't stay here too long. The old bots patrol at sunrise. Ven parked the truck under a broken hangar and shut everything down. He lit a small blue light inside. Kayla sat across from him, finally breathing slowly. Ven opened a compartment and pulled out 2 protein bars and water. As they ate, he said, Tomorrow we head for the nearest Union drop point. I'll send a message. They'll send a team. Kayla nodded but looked worried. What is it? He asked. She held out her device. There's more. I decrypted another part of the file. They're planning to launch something from planet Arcus in 6 days. It's called Project Ghostment. They say once it starts, no one can stop it. Vine looked at the screen. The names on the list were real. Big names. People in power. People who were supposed to be protecting others. This wasn't just about Kayla anymore. This is bigger than I thought, he said. Kayla whispered, Do you think we can stop them? Vin's face grew serious. We have to, or this galaxy won't have a future. Outside, the wind howled through the broken towers. Somewhere, deep in the ruins, an old bot woke to life. Kayla looked toward the sound. Vine stood up slowly and placed a hand on her shoulder. Get some rest, he said. Tomorrow, we fight back. The morning sun rose like a pale eye over the ruins of the dead grid. Metal scraps glittered like broken glass across the land. But under the sand, beneath the old hangar where Vin Diesel and Kayla had camped, a much bigger secret waited to be found. Vine crouched beside Kayla as she tapped her old device. There's a signal here, she whispered. It's faint, but something is buried under us. I think it's from the old resistance. Vine narrowed his eyes. You're saying there's a base under our feet? Kayla nodded. And maybe allies. Without another word, Vine began clearing the sand. Kayla joined him. It wasn't long before they found a hatch, rusted, sealed, and covered in strange markings. Kayla brushed off the dust and entered a short code. With a soft click, the hatch hissed open, releasing cool air and dim light. They climbed down a ladder into darkness. At the bottom, soft lights flickered on. A huge hallway stretched ahead, lined with old computers, weapons, and long-dead robots. This place was real, Vine muttered. It was more than real, Kayla said. My mother helped build it. Before they took her. A cold silence filled the space. Then a robotic voice echoed from a nearby wall. Welcome, Resistance Code X-117. Welcome home, Kayla. Vine looked at her, stunned. You have access? He asked. Kayla nodded slowly. My mom built the system, and I remember everything she taught me. Suddenly, screens along the wall lit up. Images of spaceships, maps, cities, and secret files filled the room. Kayla ran to a terminal and plugged in her device. The files loaded quickly. One stood out. HROGECTGHOSTNINT. 6D8 to low and siege. Vine stared. This is it. They opened the file. Names, locations, plans. A weapon built to control every mind on 10 planets. Not to destroy, but to make people obey. Forever. Vine clenched his fists. This is slavery at a whole new level. And they want to launch it from Arcus, Kayla said. But there's more. They're using my father's tech. They forced him to build it. He's still alive. Vine stood in shock. Then we need to get him. Before the launch, Kayla zoomed into one map. They're keeping him at Black Cell Station, near the outer orbit. But it's guarded by drones, shock troopers, and a cyber wall. Vine smiled darkly. I've broken through worse. She looked at him. You're really going to help? Vin placed a hand on her shoulder. We're in this together. You're not just a passenger anymore, Kayla. You're the key. Suddenly, the wall alarms flashed red. Warn anti. Any monitor ASKN his IGNL DTCTD. Kayla turned pale. They found us. Vin grabbed 2 pulse rifles off the wall. Then we don't wait for them, he said. We strike first. Kayla pointed to the side tunnel. There's a launch pad. Maybe there's an old ship still working. They ran down the hall, passing dark rooms filled with faded gear. At the end, they saw it, a black transport ship, still covered in dust. Vin quickly checked the systems. Still alive. Just needs a power cell. Kayla opened a control panel. There's one left. We have one shot. As they powered up the ship, the ground above shook. Explosions echoed through the dead grid. They're here, Kayla shouted. Vin pulled her inside the cockpit. Then let's give them something to chase. The engines roared to life. Dust and smoke shot into the air. Just as black enemy crafts appeared in the sky, Vin had full power. The ship blasted upward, cutting through the ruined ceiling like a rocket. Behind them, fire and debris filled the dead grid. But ahead, stars waited. Kayla looked back, heart pounding. We made it. Vine nodded. Now we take the fight to them. The stars shimmered as Vin Diesel's stolen ship glided through deep space. Inside, Kayla sat strapped into the co-pilot seat, staring at the map glowing before her. Ahead of them floated Black Cell Station, a dark fortress orbiting a dead moon. No traffic came near it. No messages came from it. Only silence and shadows. Vine leaned forward. There it is. Kayla nodded. My father is in there. That's what the file said. Vine frowned. Place looks like a prison mixed with a war factory. Kayla zoomed in on the scanner. There's a weak point on the west wing. If we can break the jammer shield, we can get inside. Vine looked at the defense grid spinning around the station. Autoguns, heat-seeking drones, mines. That won't be easy, he said. But I have an idea. He steered the ship toward the asteroid belt nearby. We'll use the rocks to cover our approach. You'll control the drone decoy. I'll fly us through. Kayla hesitated. You trust me with that? Vin gave a small smile. I've seen what you can do. As they flew behind a massive asteroid, Kayla activated the drone. It shot forward, blinking and moving like a real ship. Instantly, Black Cell's defenses locked onto it. Bait worked, Kayla whispered. Hold on, Vine shouted. He burst out of the asteroid cover and shot straight toward the station, weaving through gunfire and spinning debris. Lasers flew past them. A mine exploded nearby, rocking the ship. We're hit, Kayla cried. Just a scratch. Vin yelled. We're going in. He slammed the controls. The ship flipped and dove toward the west wing. At the last second, Kayla fired the jammer breaker, an old resistance code packet. The shield blinked, then dropped. We're through, she screamed. They crashed into a landing bay with a loud smash. Sparks flew. Alarms blared. Move, Vine shouted. They jumped out with weapons drawn. Security droids rushed toward them. Kayla ducked behind a crate and fired. Her aim was sharp, precise. Vin charged forward, clearing a path with his pulse rifle. Room by room, they fought deeper into the station. Kayla led the way using the stolen map from the resistance base. This way, she shouted. Cell blocker 3. They burst into the hall. Cells lined both sides. Dark, quiet, cold. Kayla stopped at one. This is it. She stepped forward and looked through the window. A man sat inside, thin and bruised, his eyes opened. Dad, she whispered. His face changed. Kayla. She ran to the controls and unlocked the door. He rushed out and hugged her tightly. Vin watched, silent, guarding them. Her father looked up at him. Who are you? Vin gave a nod. A friend. No, I know your face. You're. Vin raised a finger. Not important right now. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the station. LCKDOWN in PROGRESS. Self-destruct activated. Kayla gasped. They're wiping the place. Vin grabbed a blaster. We have 3 minutes. Let's move. They ran down the corridor. The station trembled. Fires burst from the walls. As they reached the hangar, enemy guards blocked their path. Dozens of them. Vin turned to Kayla's dad. Can you fly? Yes. Then take her. I'll hold them off. Kayla shouted. No, you can't. Vine smiled. I didn't come this far to let them win. He charged forward, blasting enemies left and right. Kayla and her father rushed into a docked escape shuttle. As the doors closed, Kayla watched through the glass. Vine stood tall, surrounded, still fighting. The shuttle launched just as the station exploded in a massive fireball behind them. Kayla pressed her hand to the window, tears in her eyes. But just as hope faded, a second ship flew out of the smoke. Her father smiled. He made it. Kayla whispered, Vine. The 2 ships glided through space, leaving the burning remains of Black Cell Station behind. Vin Diesel's voice crackled through the comms. You 2 okay? Kayla grabbed the radio. We're fine. We thought you were gone. Vin chuckled. Takes more than a space station to stop me. Kayla's dad looked back at her. You really trust him, don't you? Kayla nodded. He saved me. More than once. They met again on a quiet moon base, an old resistance outpost hidden under snow and ice. As the ships landed, old soldiers and rebels greeted them. Some saluted Vin. Others stared at Kayla in shock. One whispered, It's really her. Kayla noticed the looks. Why are they all staring at me? Vine stepped forward. It's time you knew the truth. He pulled out a small cube and set it on the table. A hologram flickered on, a woman in a red command coat. That's your mother, Vin said. Kayla froze. What? Commander Laria Kane. One of the leaders of the human resistance during the Machine War. She disappeared years ago. But before she did, she left behind something powerful. Vin turned to Kayla. You. Kayla's father stepped closer. Your mother didn't just leave a daughter. She left a weapon the machines couldn't track. A living code. Kayla blinked. I don't understand. Vin continued. You were made with special DNA, Kayla. Your mind holds the last encryption key to something called Project New Dawn, a system that could wake every hidden human sleeper cell in the galaxy. Kayla stepped back, shocked. I'm just a kid. Vine looked her in the eyes. You're more than that. You're the key to saving humanity. Suddenly, alarms blared across the base. An officer ran in. Sir, we have incoming. Multiple machine ships. They followed us. Vin's face hardened. Get Kayla to safety. But Kayla shook her head. No, I'm done running. Her father looked worried. Kayla, I want to finish what Mom started. Everyone turned toward her. Vine smiled, proud. Then let's give them a fight. They rushed to the command room. Kayla placed her hand on the control panel. Lights flared, and ancient systems came alive. All across the galaxy, Old resistance ships hidden in asteroids, under oceans, and buried on abandoned worlds lit up. A voice rang through space. Project New Dawn activated. Thousands of sleeping warriors woke from cryopods. Old generals opened sealed vaults. Battleships powered up. The machines, once the rulers of space, now faced a new wave of rebellion. Back at the moon base, Kayla turned to Vin. "We did it." Vin gave a small nod. "You did it." As enemy ships closed in, Kayla looked at the stars. "For Mom," she whispered. Vin picked up his gear. "Let's go save the galaxy." And with that, they stepped out together, side by side, a legend and a little girl who had become something more. A spark of hope, a symbol of resistance, a hero born from silence.